Hello, it's Sarah Nickerson from NextGEN Medium. I'm your friendly neighborhood psychic medium intuitive, helping you get to know your metaphysical self and doing that here through astrology. So, welcome. This video is meant for people to watch before they take a look at their astral reports. So, it's a natal chart analysis according to your astrology. It could be a life purpose look at what's going on with your astrology. It can be what's coming up in upcoming transits, what areas in your life are going to maybe see some changes. But I do these reports by mixing in how your metaphysical abilities are present and how you can use them in similar veins of how we're using astrology. So when it comes to the natal chart analysis, we're looking at also your intuitive tools. And I tell you what they are, I tell you how intuition works, and we take a look at your tools to help you crack open that door to really start exploring your intuition and seeing it work. Um, then, with the life purpose, we're looking at certain houses in your astrological chart. We're looking at the themes there, but I'm also telling you and showing you like the process to work purpose. It's a formula, and then we look at aspects in your chart that tell you how you work formula or how you work purpose according to your astrological energies. And then lastly, when we look at the transits, this is when I get the opportunity to introduce you to your psychic mediumship tools. And all of these different metaphysical abilities are part of your toolkit to own the sovereign self, to really get to discover that inner authority where you understand what truth is, you understand what trust is, and you understand how you have choice, and having choice equals freedom. And so this is like how I do what I do. And this being able to do astrology stuff with you meets you where you're at, because people that are looking for astrology stuff, they are looking to know more about themselves. Maybe they're on a spiritual journey. Maybe they're looking into um, occult kind of things and divination. They're doing you're doing an exploration where there's sort of an ancient truth to discover. And I'm here to show you with astrology the what is there to discover, and the wisdom is within you. You've had the tools the whole time. Astrology is showing us that. It's showing us when you were born the tools for psychic mediumship ability. Let me show you where it's at and what's going on with that, and how you can start practicing that and sharpening that tool for yourself. So that this is why I do these videos. So the purpose of this video is to gain understanding of astrology basics so that you can start recognizing your metaphysical self and abilities. This video alone isn't directed toward anybody in particular to help them with their metaphysical self and abilities, but the information that's in this video sets you up for the information I share with you um, in your astrological reports and the chart analysis that I do with you, both through a video but also through a written report I send as well. I am all about sovereign self ownership. My spiritual journey led to seeing that psychic ability is real, that I can do it, that I've been able to do it for a very long time. And I just didn't know how to go about doing that. But it took me a year to discover. So it was not an overnight thing. It took a long time to finally see the evidence. And I think in doing so, it not only was able for me to see reality change, but also to see that this is teachable. Like this is a skill. Um, both, psychic ability, but also my journey in discovering intuition, which was such an amazing, mind blowing, super simple thing that I love teaching people about. But also purpose, life purpose, what that formula is, how that works, how emotions are messages. Some of this information I've received as sort of downloads. And once you can tap into these tools for yourself, you will get the same information. I deliver it how like I understand it with what I've experienced and the information that I've been given or that I've tapped into. But I'm a believer that just take what I give you, take it into consideration, practice it so that you can get in touch with this that source information for yourself. Because that's what matters. It's not what I say. It's not what I, you know, might say is truth. It's truth for me, but it's you developing that relationship. Okay, so creating a life. This is sovereign self ownership. Creating a life where you have a relationship with truth, trust, and purpose slash choice via metaphysical abilities. We're told that that stuff's bullshit. It's not real. Well, guess what? When you see this stuff for yourself, your relationship with truth, your relationship with trust, and seeing choice and freedom and purpose, like all this stuff changes and it becomes a really big deal in your life. And you can recognize it outside yourself and other people. So, the things I focus on: psychic mediumship ability, finding truth in your reality, both the metaphysical truth and the physical world truth. Number 2, intuition training. Let's call it intuition awareness because it's there. It's not like it's a brand new thing. It's there. Recognizing emotional and nervous system tuning in order to gain trust in the self. Purpose alignment, using emotion to gain choice and freedom towards alignment with the higher self. So let's get into Astrology 101. When you're looking at my analysis for you, you're going to see something called the birth chart. This is a picture. This is like a snapshot of the sky when you were born. So you would be in the middle, and this line going across is like the horizon. And so this is like a 2D representation of like where the planets were. Speaking of planets, planets are the sun, moon, Mercury, Mars. Everything you've learned about the solar system, that's what's included. Yes, Pluto is still a planet. And yes, sun and moon, they're considered planets too. In astrology, that's what we call them. We also call them the luminaries. And when we look at your birth chart, we're going to see them on this inner circle right here. Okay. Now, some of these little symbols you're going to see aren't planets. They are actually something else that might come up in your chart analysis reading. But each planet has a location on your chart. It's going to have a sign that it belongs in, and it's going to have a degree in that sign. Now, if you know anything about astrology, you might know that there's different systems. I use whole sign system. It's cleaner. Um, it's easier to understand and look at. So I have found it to be very useful as I've gotten to really get to know astrology. But I will say Placidus is how I started things, and that just made things a little more complicated than maybe starting out could have been easier with the whole sign aspect. So that's how I do things. Whole sign allows for the same amount of degrees in each sign, and whole sign actually assigns a house number to a sign. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, so let's back it up a little bit. So we know where the planets are. They're in this outer ring. They have a degree. The degree matters. That's information. They have a sign. That's even more information. So signs, when I say, zodiac sign, there's probably one you have in mind that belongs to you. And that's probably because of your sun. But there's other important aspects and signs that are important to you as well. But there's 12 signs. Starts with Aries, goes to Pisces, Taurus, Gemini. There's an order to it. There's 12 altogether. And when we look at your chart, we will see them on the outside ring here. And in the zodiacal calendar, Aries. This is our first one of the calendar of the year, of the zodiacal year. So where it starts first, we actually go backwards in order, or I should say counterclockwise in order of the signs. So after Aries is Taurus, after Taurus is Gemini, and then we're going right down the zodiacal calendar in order, and we're going counterclockwise to a sign where the rest of the signs are going to go on your birth chart wheel. We also have houses to take into consideration. This is something that I did mention just like one word earlier. But each house, each sign, and each planet, it's important to know that they all have themes that are related to them, aspects of life that are related to them, characteristics, even parts of the body. Like there's so much each sign has that goes along with each sign, each house, each planet. Now I will say that there are things that line up for the houses, planets, signs that coincide. So that first house of this, it's going to be about the self. And you remember how I said Aries was the first zodiac sign in the calendar? Well, Aries, like it defaults and belongs in that first house, but that's not going to happen for everybody in their chart. So, the things that coincide with first house of the self and of ambition and, self starter kind of vibes, we would look at those same kind of signature energies that also go along with Aries, wherever that could be in your chart. So each house has a part of life. First house is the self, second house is finances, third house is communication. And it's not just one theme. Third house can also be about early education and siblings, for instance. And so when we look at your zodiacal chart, or when we look at your birth charts, we will see the first house will always be over on this part of the chart, and it's going to line up with the signs. So first house that for this person is Virgo, see? And then the second house is Libra. Now, the reason why I can even do this for your chart is because you give me a time. If you didn't give me a time, then I wouldn't have a first, second, third. I wouldn't have houses. I wouldn't have an ascendant either. That very specific time that you give me allows me extra information, which gives me a lot more information that I can work with when it comes to analyzing your chart. So I just want to make sure you understand, because I didn't say this as smoothly as I could have. So each planet has themes associated with it. Each sign has themes associated with it. And each house number has themes associated with it. You see, there's 3 layers of information right there that I can use to really pinpoint the energy for you. There are some extras that will probably be mentioned in your chart. So one is the ascendant or rising sign. So when we look at your chart, we see the horizon line right here. So when you were born, imagine you're right here in the middle of the chart. And then this line would be the horizon when you were born. So the easternmost point for this person was 10 degrees Virgo. And then to the due west side, this is the descendant part of the line, 10 degrees Pisces. So this ascendant point at 10 degrees Virgo is what represents this person in a particular way when it comes to the ascendant. So the ascendant I think of as the masked ego self, the conditioned self that's survived life up to this point. And so for this person, he takes on Virgo elements of processes, detail oriented, and um, beauty, or health, and service. Purity is a word associated with Virgo, like virgin, Virgo. So that's just an example of the ascendant, and that's a big energy for people. So a lot of people know themselves as their sun sign. But once you start learning about astrology, you start learning about this ascendant. And then when you start looking into horoscopes and stuff, you're going to hear them say, look at your rising or ascendant. And that would be the one that they want you to pay attention to, not the sun sign, which can make a big difference for people and how they connect with astrology. Next up is the 10,000-foot view, I like to call it. And that's to look at the chart to just see where there's a lot of activity going on. The chart can be split into, a top half and a bottom half based on that ascendant descendant line. And that has meaning. With a lot of energy down here, what does that mean? Well, let me do your natal chart analysis and I'll tell you. There's also, a meaning to the left side and the right side of the chart. And there's also a quadrant meaning. So lots of energies over in this second quadrant. What would that mean for this gentleman? And aspects are important too. You have a planet and then you have another planet like 60 degrees away, like we see in this blue line that's indicated here. And that is a harmonious energy between these two planets. The moon in Sagittarius at 29 degrees, the sun at, no, we're going to say the Mars at 29 degrees Aquarius. There's a synergy there that works really well. And that's called an aspect that, that 60 degrees. So that'd be a sextile. Another harmonious energy is the trine, which is 120 degrees. We almost got one here. And then there's not so harmonious, might be a little more difficult to work with energies. That would be squares, which are 90 degrees difference, and then oppositions, which would be across the chart 180 degree difference. It's math. So the different analysis I do. So I do a birth chart analysis and an intuition tool analysis. With this, I'm taking a look at the big 6 of your personal energies. That's the sun, moon, rising, which are like the personality ones. And then also the Mercury, Venus, Mars, which is how you do what you do. Then we look at the generational planets and their impact on your powers, on your concepts of power, authority, freedom, expansion, depletion, perception, and perspective. Next up, we're taking a deep dive into the conditioning of the components that make up your intuition. We're looking at emotion. We're looking at messaging, both encoding and decoding. We're looking at the nervous system, areas in life that these naturally work for you, that will be the places you tap into to crack that door of gaining that relationship and that trust with your intuition. I teach you also how intuition, like the basics of how it works, how to break it up to make sense of it. And then you can start seeing like how it's not such a mystery, intuition. But with this analysis, we're meeting your intuition where it's at. I'm giving you tips for next steps that are specific based on what your chart is showing you. I have a free download guide for people to start navigating intuition, to start their relationship, to get that going, to start becoming aware of how it already works for you. That, free download to get you started is great. But this chart analysis, it narrows down things even more, and it meets you in places like being able to direct you to places in your life. Like for instance, I just did a reading about this person's creative energy, which is one house in particular, and how their creative energy is linked to their intuition. But there's this energy that goes right to their Mars, which shows that in order to really get in touch with their intuition, according to the chart analysis, there's a physical component to like moving or something that they do, or even a motivational factor that gets creativity going, gets their intuition going. Really fascinating stuff. So why do we want to explore intuition? Because intuition means we learn to trust our own tools. We get to guide ourselves. Intuition is like the compass. It's telling you when to go and how fast to get there. When we learn trust in the self, we can recognize how to trust beyond the self, and really it's who we're trusting. And this way, we don't end up with half the country of the United States, for instance, in a cult. Analysis type number 2, working purpose natal chart analysis. So with this, I'm looking at the houses that relate to your purpose, give you themes that align with your astrology information revolving around you, your creativity, your philosophies. Okay. So that's the astrology aspect there. But I want to teach you the working purpose formula. It's stupid simple, and show you how that specifically works for you based on your chart information, how to get to work on purpose, on your purpose. This is where we achieve choice and where we achieve freedom, and how we get to start really pinpointing more exactly how we integrate into our higher selves. Tips for how to get most aligned with your higher self, your soul self, in order to have more consistency with ease, contentment, compatibility with challenge. We want this consistently. This is what makes us happy. Why do we care? Because working purpose equals choice and freedom. Do you feel stuck? Maybe you don't quite understand what your choices are. You know what we're all looking for? When we want to win the lottery, it's not necessarily money that we want, it's freedom. We want freedom. I want freedom. I want to break free. Analysis type number 2. Ignore this little section down here. We'll get to that. Number 3. Analysis type number 3. Current upcoming transits and psychic tools analysis. I think of astrology as one way that us humans try to look into the future, try to make sense of what's coming up so we can feel prepared. Well, guess what? You have a tool inside of you that can do just that, and that's your psychic tool. It's there. It's ready to go. Just like, Neptune was on your chart when you were born. It was up in the sky when you were born. Neptune is a part of your toolkit. It's always been there and it's still there, and it will be there in the future for you to tap into that psychic ability. But with the astrological analysis, we're looking at the themes and changes that may have been experienced in the recent past, as well as themes and changes that are upcoming in the next year or a few years, according to your chart analysis. 2025, which is when I'm recording this, in the middle of 2025, mind you, big stuff going on. We're getting just a taste of it right now because a lot of stuff's going to go retrograde pretty soon. 2026, man, oh man, things are going to bust open. And I think in a lot of ways for the better. I think the merging of the metaphysical and physical worlds, it's happening, but I think it's going to be more concrete. Okay. Exploring your psychic ability and perception of reality. That is definitely a part of that third analysis type I want to offer. Also, tips for how to get in a mental space to explore your psychic tools based on what the chart presents as your psychic strengths. And of course, we're going to look at nodal axis fatus concepts because that's a part of our divination aspect that we're going at here. Why does psychic ability matter? Well, let me tell you what. If it wasn't for psychic ability and curiosity into seeing if it's real, if it's something I could do, it took me a year to explore this. And I will say that crowning moment that changed my whole reality, changed my relationship with truth. Truth felt different. It felt heavy. And let me also say this, truth became much more filtered into my life. I started recognizing how much truth had been handed to me and that I just accepted as truth. Your basket gets cleaned out once you feel what truth actually is. Next steps. No big deal. Next steps. Check out your video and report analysis. I will be providing you with free guides to start strengthening your metaphysical tools, and the guides are going to align with whichever tool is the focus for that video. So the intuition video is going to get that free guide. So not only am I going to give you like tips and directions based on your chart, but you're going to have like a guide to really get that opened up and get going. I also want you to tell me you want to know more about the NextGEN Medium Sovereign Self community. I'm going to open those doors. I give all the tools in the world. I give you everything I know when it comes to exploring this and having the chance to look on the other side of the bridge and see it for yourself and determine whether this is a direction you want to go. To see its truth for yourself. That's really what I like to say. I give you the tools to explore on your own, but there comes a point when you want other people involved. You want to know what other people are experiencing. You want to know if what you're experiencing is what other people are experiencing, if this is how it's supposed to be done. Am I getting close? You are going to want people to reflect on and reflect with and understand. You want people that are a few steps ahead of you so they can be like, oh my God, I totally know where, and they have the fire in there too, because it's so exciting. It's an exciting thing to go through. That's what the Sovereign Self community is going to be all about, is integrating the tools. There's going to be an additional tier for those that are embodied and practicing, like professional, offering their talents to help people do readings, to do healing, to do whatever, but to be around a group of people that it's in their bones, truth, trust, choice. So you all can be on the same page with this is how life is lived. We're doing it together. And we're using each other to make sure we can get to a life where we can make money doing this. Know we're doing it with integrity, and being able to do it the best we can for all of our clients. And we're in a group together, so we're able to reflect on the best ways we can go about doing that, and to try to understand how to offer metaphysical things to people that are ingrained in the physical world but are interested in the metaphysical world. You know what I mean? There is a strange Venn diagram there, and to be with other people that do that stuff is invaluable. So please tell me you want to be a part of that community. Feedback and reviews are wanted. So I'll take those. Those help me make things better. Next steps, I have other offerings. I have a super long, in-depth e-course for psychic mediumship abilities called Soul Abilities Workshop. It'll be offered through the Sovereign Self community for free. That will be a subscription base, the Sovereign Self community. Super quick 0F splendidly brief PDF to start psychic mediumship, intuition, and healing development now. I call it the Cliff Notes. It's just the basics. No fluff. Just get going. And of course, I do psychic mediumship readings through Zoom. Check me out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm at nextgenmedium.com, and you can email me at nextgenmedium@gmail.com, not gmail.com. That's too many dots. No, just one. nextgenmedium@gmail.com. Enjoy your reading.